Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Morris. This slide presentation is going to take the focus of how to apply Gerard Hauser to your argument analysis paper. Before you listen to this set of slides, you need to read chapters 1 and 3 of Hauser. You need to listen to both lectures on the readings. So that you have a concept of what's going on. And then also you need to have read a copy of the argument analysis paper. So I hope that these terms can help you in a variety of ways. I think, or that this slideshow, and I'm going to focus on keywords. And I hope these keywords can help you choose a good argument to analyze and to interpret them and to make your own argument about them. The first two slides are really just lists of what I consider keywords. And keywords are just those words that you'll find in a theory that shape it in fundamental ways. So that they're the kind of ways of really understanding what someone's got going. To give you a little context, I recorded the two slideshows about Hauser for a rhetorical theory class. So you'll be able to tell that the context is a little different. I make reference to older events because it was apparently before the 2016 election for Chapter 1. And I don't know the exact date for the Chapter 3. But the examples are a little stale, which actually is kind of helpful because it shows you a little bit about what Hauser means about the eventfulness of rhetoric. Newt Gingrich having won the South Carolina primary, I can't even remember which one it was, might have been relevant at the time. It doesn't matter to any of us right now. At least I would be surprised if it does. Because time has gone on and things have changed. So when you're listening to those slideshows and when you're reading, these keywords, I hope, will be things that you can pull out. So from chapter 1, this is the list: eventfulness, processes, discontinuity, social coordination. From the chapter 3, the second of the readings: emergence, relativity, social space, rhetorical situation, and rhetorical situation is Bitzer's term, and he has the 3: exigence, constraint, and audience. Now, using these terms can help you do two things. First, it can help you describe, it can help you choose an event. But it can help you, once you've chosen an event to analyze, it can help you describe it. But you need to move past description. Description's just kind of a stage in the process. And then you need to move into analysis. So to use the example from the that I have listed on the assignment prompt, I have the example of blood analysis. So if you just get the raw numbers back from your doctor, and you just look at those numbers, you're not going to have any idea what to do with them. Someone has to interpret them for you. And so they put them on a scale of normal or abnormal. And then a doctor can further contextualize them by saying what might be the cause or the impact of this analysis. So you're going to be doing some of that. So if we use the example of, let's say, an editorial writing, trying to persuade people to use their masks to protect others from COVID. If we were to use Hauser's keywords from chapter 1, we would look at the discontinuity of COVID. So the disease or the virus itself caused the discontinuity. But it's rhetorical in that it's caused us to need to change our ways of living in a huge number of ways, as you can attest. And one of these is to learn to wear masks, at least from the scientific perspective. So to achieve social coordination, that is, everyone working together to wear masks, we need to provide a rhetorical response. We can look at the emergence of the situation. If you remember from at the beginning, they were saying that masks weren't that helpful. But we've moved on. Time has changed. Science has changed. We have more results from other countries. And scientists are now saying that it is important. So you could look at the emergence of this particular issue. Relativity, I think, might apply in terms of where you're standing in response to this. And just to give you kind of an interesting, I hope, example, and not a partisan example, I've read an article not long ago saying that people with anxiety might have trouble wearing masks and might be resistant to wearing masks because we tend to breathe through our mouths when we're wearing the masks to get as much oxygen in as possible. And that tends to create anxiety. And this writer was arguing that we practice breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and doing so slowly in order to make the masks tolerable. But she was also writing so that we would have compassion for people who aren't wearing their masks, because it might be out of a situation of their mental health and their need to not feel anxious. So at least to create some compassion with regard to that. So that's a relativity sort of issue. It depends on who you are. Others have argued that the masks are very detrimental in that they hide facial expressions. You can imagine in the classroom how much that would be a problem, particularly working with children, where you're having intense interaction with behaviors and that sort of thing, how much they need to see smiles or frowns or whatever. So you could take each of these words and apply them to the situation. You can see that that would result in a very lengthy description. And then the next step is whatever particular argument you've chosen is to decide whether or not it has been successful in whatever way you want to talk about. How is it working, and does it work in the way that it should, according to the terms that you've used? So choosing events, we might want to say choosing arguments to analyze. I could have called this paper the argument analysis of arguments, or the argument about arguments, because that's basically what you're doing. I consider analysis a kind of argument. It's a very particular kind of argument. I want you to choose things to analyze that may be written texts, but they may also be a little bit livelier than that. So you could imagine a protest. You could imagine a podcast. You could imagine an interview. You could imagine a press conference. Any number of situations could count as an event. The requirement is that these events be rhetorical interventions. I mean, you could even use a statue as a rhetorical intervention, possibly, or another piece of art. So they have to be responding to a discontinuity. They have to be a rhetorical response. They need to be required of the situation. And you need to be able to verify the fitness of the response. So let's take a look at this last slide. I've posted this worksheet on our site. And this is what I suggest you do. I suggest that you go through for each keyword, write down each keyword, and then give Hauser's definition, and then write down the page numbers where Hauser discusses it. What are the important places where he highlights the term? And then think about how it applies to your argument. I'm not going to have you turn that in. It's a, a tool to help you generate an argument. If you have any questions about what you're going to analyze as an argument, again, it can be an editorial in a newspaper. It can be a protest, a very particular protest, not protest in general, but something particular. It could be an interview. It could be just any number of things. If you want to run past me ideas, I would be glad to do that. Once you have those, then you need to use the keywords to describe them and then move from description into analysis. And I'll let your papers take the shape and form that most suit what you've decided um, has resulted because of your process of analysis. If you have any questions for me, I would be glad to talk with you. I'll be trying to hold an optional synchronous class meeting. So stay in touch and let me know if I've confused you in any way. Thank you. All the best.